Day 11, happy enough. My grandpa's favorite place in the world was the Dead Sea. No, not that one. The Dead Sea of Canada. He was a down-home carpenter from the prairies, so the best he could afford was the drive to the western edge of the province of Saskatchewan to Manitou Lake, a mineral spring. In the day, he could defy gravity for hours and stretch his legs and arms out to the buoyant surface of the saltwater lake like a human balloon. Then, as the sun set, he would saunter over to the lakefront's dance hall, the fabulously and appropriately named Danceland. It was packed 7 nights a week, and there my grandpa was able to feel the pull of the full orchestra playing and enjoy another gravity-defying experience, a performance dance floor made in 1928 with horsehair pads placed under a shining maple floor. Probably the only one left in the world because, well, that's a strange combo. But in the middle of nowhere, completely content, he didn't just dance all night long. He sailed. To be honest, that all sounds incredibly fun to me. But if I were to scan a top 100 things to do before you die list, I doubt that driving to rural Saskatchewan to go swimming in salt and dance on animal hair would appear. Not everyone's dream is Danceland. I can barely write the word without an exclamation point. Danceland! In fact, our culture has become enamored with a narrow set of criteria about what constitutes a big moment. If you're an aspiring social media star in California, you'll need to be photographed in a crown of flowers at Coachella. If you're visiting the Grand Canyon, who but security can pull your spandex body in a yoga pose from teetering on the edge of a cliff? You might be smiling astride a camel in front of the pyramids or throwing yourself out of a plane with a strong series of hashtag skydiving, hashtag let go, hashtag limitless hashtags. You did it, you won Instagram. Desire can feel like an endless hunger, but there is a feeling we get when we feel full, contentment. And it's much harder to describe or explain. It's difficult to photograph the feeling you get looking out your window or the rush of satisfaction when you see a smiling face. Maybe you want to cherish the perfect cup of tea or get that amazing stretch after actually sleeping through the night. Most of the big moments will not seem terribly important to anyone else. They might even feel sort of awful at the time. The Apostle Paul, sitting in prison, had something rather shocking to say about being content. His friends in Philippi sent him some gifts as he waited behind bars, but Paul made a point of letting them know that with or without the presents, hungry or full, in prison or free, in wealth or poverty, his contentedness remained. This helps to put the popular verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, from Philippians 4, verse 13, into context. Paul isn't saying he can move mountains or vanquish pain, but that he can find a kind of peace no matter what condition, good or bad, because of Christ's strength. Put in that light, it's not heroic at all. It's more like settling into the moment. Paul learned to be content, but it had nothing to do with his self-sufficiency, sheer luck, satiation, or comfort. He couldn't have known if he would ever be free or how the story would turn out in the end. Rather, his contentment came from God's presence alone. All of us live inside an economy of desire. Frankly, who doesn't want to go to Danceland? And there will be times that feel like an endless desert, and times where we get to bob in the lake thinking about lunch. But the freedom is in knowing that when it comes to desire, you don't have to free fall to the very bottom. If everything falls apart, you might, like the Apostle Paul, feel something else entirely, contentment. You might feel strangely, weirdly okay. Sometimes we get to go to the Dead Sea. Other times we are only in rural Saskatchewan. But the best life is that we can actually have where God promises that. Even if there's very little to go around, there will still be big moments that feel like enough. When my mom went back to visit the place her dad had spent his carefree days, she had her own version of Danceland. She wanted to see the local tiny Anglican church, which boasted a medieval stained glass window. After a long search for the key at the locked church, which it turns out could be picked up by absolutely anybody at the local Radio Shack if you ask for Irene, she popped in to see what was advertised as a stunning historical masterpiece. It wasn't. It was not a miracle window that somehow survived for over 500 years and was shipped to the New World. It was a very pretty, medium old window. And my mom was pleased as punch anyway because, hey, it was good enough.